Hi everyone, super happy to be here and to talk to you today. My name is Julia Blomqvist and I'm a planner, and this is Ted Mellström, who's a creative at Forsmannen Bodenfors, and we are from Sweden, as you can see. We're an agency that has decided to structure and work in a slightly different way than most other agencies do. We're here to talk about that today. So, most client organizations are structured in a way that is top-down, where you have all the important people at the top making all the important decisions, and then moving down, people do their everyday work. So it's kind of a pyramid structure. And most agencies choose to structure themselves in a way that mirrors those client organizations. We don't, and that's what we're here to talk about today, because we feel that the way we organize ourselves, which is different from this, is a really good idea. And part of our culture is that when we have good ideas, we like to share them with others. So that's why we're here to share that with you today. So we see our organization more like this, a moving blob, we usually talk about it as. And within this blob, we have individuals and we have teams, and they break out from this moving blob to work as small individual agencies who each work on each client's task. So we're more like several agencies within this big agency. And then all the teams and individuals go back into this blob again, and then they break out to work on new tasks and new clients. And we think this way of working, which is completely flat, slightly chaotic, but not in hierarchies and silos, could be applied to any agency or pretty much any organization that is out there today. And at the foundation of this blob and these moving teams, as you see, we have a belief that sort of controls and rules both our culture, the way we work in our organization. And that way we like to call tillsammans, or together, and that is founded around and built around how to be human, and enabling the humanness in all of us in our organization, embracing all that is human, and having a human approach at the center of everything we do at Forsmannen Bodenfors. Because we think that that way of approaching our everyday work is the best way to get the most out of people and have them do their best every day at work. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, so what is human in our point of view? We have a few very concrete things that we kind of apply to our everyday life, which we think makes us very human. For starters, we have 8 weeks of paid vacation every year, which we find to be a very good thing, actually, because we can kind of get people to be truly deconnect from work, and we feel that we need that in many regards. And it also means having no competition in between teams, and this is pretty much the heart of the Forsmannen Bodenfors culture. We work together, sharing both ideas and experiences, and we feel that it's a far better way than kind of working against each other. And it also means working a reasonable 9 to 5 days, because we feel that having time for family and friends and hobbies actually kind of enhances the responsibility of our co-workers and their kind of feeling towards work. It's pretty much like no one is forcing you to stay later than the boss just for the sake of it. You can pretty much go home anytime you want, as long as you do your work, so to speak. Or at least in my regards, I think this is the best part of it all. We have no time reports at all. We want to spend as much time as we can just working with our clients and the tasks at hand. So instead of kind of keeping up every day or every week on how much or how many billable hours we have with every client, we kind of meet the client and set a task for the year, and then we agree on a sum, what that is going to cost, and then we sort that out. All this so that we can feel, well, good or great at work, we feel. Because we feel that if you put our humanity at the center of everything we do, we will be able to do better work and to move people or other humans on a human level. Because all the things that we do is actually work for, well, humans. So we give the people the tools to feel their best, because then we feel that they'll do their best work. Sometimes of course, this can be very hard, especially in the advertising agency, because we feel that in our industry, we tend to put like the latest buzzwords in the center of everything you do, like AR, AI, big data, content, or whatever the latest buzzwords are. And we feel that they tend to steal the oxygen from what is really what we're supposed to do at work, or what we feel we're supposed to do at work. And that is creating communication for humans, communication that is relevant for the people, and so that they can understand what we're actually doing. My mom, for example, has no clue whatsoever what big data, AI, AR is, but she knows when somebody has created something that makes her feel something. And we feel that that is like the base of everything we do. Of course, we still need to keep up with all these trend words and stuff like that. We know about them, but as I said before, we think that we should kind of focus on what's the center of everything we do, and that is to produce work for humans. And we feel that the world of advertising tends to be not so great on the best sides of humanity, like being kind, helping each other out, making each other feel safe and secure. So, but does our way of doing things really work? Well, we've been doing this for around 30 years, and I feel one thing that is interesting is that we seem to be doing better and better for each year that passes. We were the most awarded agency in the world a couple of years ago, and we have won well over 100 Cannes Lions, 6 of which are Grand Prix, and we have won the Black Pencil here as well. All of this is, of course, a lot of bragging, which is kind of awkward, especially to us Swedes, because we're not used to talking about this stuff. But we feel that we have to kind of emphasize this, because if we don't talk about it, people just think we're a bunch of lazy Swedes that want to work less. So, well, either way, here is our latest Grand Prix winner in Cannes.
Most of what is grown today is treated with pesticides. That's not so healthy for the environment, but does it really affect us? Meet the Palmbok family. They don't eat organic food.
Det kostar mer än vanlig mat. Det blir en stor skillnad när man är många i en familj.
But for the next 2 weeks, the Palmboks are going to eat only organic. Before they begin, urine samples are taken from each of the family members. And it turns out they have a number of different pesticides inside their bodies.
Vi hittade framförallt insektsmedel, svampmedel och stråförkortningsmedel.
Vi äter insektsmedel.
Ja, äckligt.
Ja.
So, everything in the kitchen is replaced, and they begin eating only organic. Then, another round of samples are taken, and now, almost all the pesticides have disappeared.
Vi vet ju väldigt lite om långtidseffekter av att äta mat som har besprutats. Speciellt med tanke på att studier har visat att kemikalier i kombination kan vara långt farligare än kemikalier var och en för sig.
När man får höra det här så tänker man framförallt på barnen. Det är många kemikalier som har lämnat deras kroppar och jag vill inte ha tillbaka dem i mina barn.
And only a couple of months ago, we were kind of, I don't know if it's called giving the award, but we were named the 5th most innovative company in our sector this year, according to Fast Company, which we are very, very proud of, we can say. But and the next case that we're about to show you was kind of why we were given this award, I would say, and it also has won a Grand Prix in Eurobest.
How do we get people to consider Sweden as a holiday destination? We're not really famous for our great weather, or our vibrant city life, or majestic monuments. But we do have something that's pretty unique. It's called the freedom to roam, and it's a right protected by the law that allows us to sleep and eat and walk pretty much wherever we want, just like in a regular home. So to get people excited about Sweden, we listed the entire country on Airbnb. We welcome the world to a 100 million acres large accommodation. where people could browse through different listings with panoramic terraces, 100,000 tempered infinity pools, soaring ceilings and a fully stocked kitchen, all free of charge. And the news traveled fast. We had a minimal budget, but the campaign spoke for itself. And people got excited. This person thought it was shit balls. And Gabriel wanted to bring the world's entire population with him. And this guy didn't even know where he was going. But he was going. And he wasn't alone. In the end, people all over the world united over something as simple as an Airbnb listing. And we gave them a new reason to visit Sweden.
So that's a few cases to prove that the belief of putting the human at the center of everything we do actually produces good work, we think at least. But that's maybe a bit unconcrete, so hopefully we'll be a bit more concrete now, talking about what it is we actually do to incorporate our humanity in our everyday work, and how we do that, and how we believe that makes us better, makes us a better workplace, but also produce better work. And also why we feel it's so important that we wanted to share this with you today. We try to summarize it in 3 words that guides the way we look at our culture, and the way we look at our work, and the way we look at each other. And these 3 words are responsibility, trust, and courage. So we will talk a little bit about each of them and show you, hopefully, proof in a form of cases of how these are incorporated into our everyday work. So I'm going to start off by talking about what responsibility means for us at Forsman & Bodenfors in our everyday work. So as Ted mentioned already, in our agency, each small team that usually consists of 5 to 6 people are responsible for the whole client and the whole task that they're given, because we have no hierarchies, right? So they're responsible for every decision that is made, and no one is going to make them for you. The team makes them. So they're responsible for picking up the brief, setting the budget, putting out the project plan, doing the strategy, of course doing the creative work, and also presenting the creative work. So that's the whole team, 5 to 6 people doing that. And this responsibility will be given to you from day one when you enter the doors at Forsman. It doesn't matter if you're senior or junior or what your role is, you're going to get the full responsibility that everyone else has in the agency. So you have to be up for that when you go through the doors. And that has an effect on the way we recruit, you could say. Because we recruit in the same way as we do everything else, which is tillsammans, or together. So when you're recruited by us, you meet people in a setting of maybe at least, I think, 6 to 7 people at once in a Swedish fika setting, where you have just sort of a general discussion and get a feel for each other, because the decision is going to be made by the collective. So the collective chooses if you will fit into the collective. So that's also a responsibility you will have as an employee at Forsman to employ your next coworker, kind of. And that puts a pressure, of course, on everyone who walks through the door at the agency. So you have to be up for the responsibility that you're given, and you have to like to take that responsibility and make those decisions without having anyone at the top making them for you. So we're maybe not really the best place to work for everyone, but when you get it and you get the organization's way of working and feel like you're part of this huge collective blob, it's a very special place to be, and a very special way to work together as one, we think. So that is a little bit off topic, so I'll go back to responsibility on our everyday work by showing you guys a project where a huge responsibility was given to a young planner in our agency when we started working with Uber across the Pan-Asian markets. So this is him, recently hired, doing field work in Vietnam, where he went out and interviewed people in their homes to put out the next creative brief and the first project that we did with Uber across Asia. So he was given the full trust from both his team, his small team, but also from the agency and therefore from the client as well to handle the strategy in this project. And we think the output was quite good.
necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, all Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be found off my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. When we look under the rocks and plants and take a glance at the fancy ants, then maybe try it. The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you.
Kan klicka. So the next word we're going to speak about is trust. And so by now you all pretty much kind of get what we're talking about. Our organization is completely flat. We have no creative directors. We have no planning directors. What it's mean, as we said so many times before, it's that you're ultimately responsible for everything that you do at work. What it also means is that you have to make sure that your work passes through as many colleagues' eyes as possible. That you will get as many comments as possible and as many thoughts as possible on everything that you do. Pretty much the collective is our creative director. And we put trust that every individual that works at us actually does this and puts the work in front of their colleagues. And we also put trust in that these colleagues actually look at the work and give their kind of feedback on it and do their best to help that person. Again, pretty basic really. It's more brains are better than just a few, we think. This way of working makes everyone kind of in the agency feel involved in everything that we do, at least we feel. Because if you have kind of been a part of the work that we do, even though it's not yours from the start, we feel that kind of you takes responsibility for the outcome of it and makes the actual kind of the final work that comes out even better, and everyone takes responsibility for that. Of course, this isn't necessarily easy at all times, especially if you are new at our workplace and you're like a 22-year-old copywriter who have to put your work in front of people who won 5 or 6 Grand Prix. But we feel that it's important that you actually tend to put your work in front of these colleagues, even though they were the people who hired you, because in a week or a month's time, that person will come and show you his or her work, and you have to give your feedback on it, and they will listen to what you have to say, even though you are a 22-year-old copywriter. So trust is one of the many one of the 3 cornerstones that we have. But earning the trust from your colleagues can sometimes be hard, and even harder can be earning the trust from your clients. But we feel that we kind of go about that in the same way we do internally. We do it without any prestige at all. In the next case I'm about to show you, the client actually thought that Jean-Claude Van Damme was a horrible spokesperson for the brand. They felt that he will kind of bring down the brand in many ways. But the team thought that he was great for this campaign, so they actually went out and did their own field study. The copywriter and the planner went to a trucker stop outside of Gothenburg called Stig Center, which is a very special place, I would say, and talked to as many truckers as they could find, and talked about how they perceive Jean-Claude Van Damme. And the result was, I would say, probably the best kind of market research we have ever done in the agency. All of the truckers loved Jean-Claude Van Damme, regardless of his history. So in that way, we kind of got the trust from the client to actually do this ad you're about to see.
I've had my ups and downs, my fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. Now I stand here before you. What you see is a body crafted to perfection. a pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics, and a mindset to master the most epic of splits.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time.
So that leads us to the final cornerstone of our culture and way of working, which is courage. Because when you've embraced your responsibility that you're given, and when you feel you have the trust and the support by your whole organization at your back, you're actually able to make these courageous and brave decisions that you need to do every day to be able to produce and put out the best work possible. You dare to look at the problem for what it really is, even if that means sometimes being slightly obnoxious. You still feel you have the support of everyone at your back. You're also able to make mistakes because you have everyone at your back catching you all the time. Sometimes we get a question in regards to courage, and that is how we make our clients or enable or help our clients to make courageous decisions alongside us again and again. And we really don't think there are any shortcuts. It's just a general approach to how we work as a collective every day. And that is just trying again and again. And what helps in the way of working that we have is that when you get a no, and you often do, and you have to start over, when you have the whole agency at your back, you're able to pick up new energy and new thoughts and new ideas, because you have these amazing people who support you every day. You can bring their energy into your project. And if you absolutely feel like you have nothing left, you can actually bring another person into the project as well. So we're able to do that because we trust each other, because we have no prestige within the organization, and because we work together in the collective. So, which is at the base of who we are. And essentially that means that you are never alone in anything you do. At Forsman and Bodenfors, whether if it is making a mistake, making a hard decision, presenting work, or whatever it is, you're never alone, which is the best feeling every day, we think. So we have a client and an example of a truly courageous client, which is Oatly. I don't know if many of you know. It's a Swedish brand from the beginning. Who challenged the milk category in Sweden. So to give you guys some context on why they are brave in the way they communicate and the strategy they committed to, in Sweden, milk is a religion. We drink milk every day, all the time, at work, at home, in the evenings, in the mornings, with dinner, with breakfast, all the time. And Arla, which is the most Swedish of all Swedish food brands, pretty much, are firmly anchored within the Swedish culture, and it's loved. They serve it at all the schools across Sweden. So when Oatly came in and wanted to challenge the way we consume milk, they had a pretty steep hill to go up. So they needed to commit to something brave, a brave strategy to be able to challenge this category, and a brave strategy to put out brave work. And they did. So we're going to watch that case.
A 20-year-old maker of oat drinks suddenly experiences a 50% sales increase over a 6-month period without releasing a new product. Is this even possible? In Sweden, milk is religion. For over 80 years, milk has been untouchable. To grow, we needed to increase awareness of plant-based alternatives. So we changed our packaging, combining unpredictable design with provocative thoughts, such as, wow, no cow, and it's like milk but made for humans. This caused the milk industry to choke on their own product, and in their arrogance, they decided to sue us for speaking the truth. We said thank you, and we put the entire lawsuit online so everyone could read it. This generated massive support from the public, who saw the milk industry as an oversized bully. Then we put our oat drinks in magazines. At music festivals, even created the world's first coffee festival without milk. And we made our CEO, Tony, be part of 30 commercials, which included writing his own song and singing it in the middle of an oat field, walking around half naked, even cooking with his mom. All this made us feel less like a corporation and more like a collection of real people. Now, sales just keep growing, the milk industry has come crashing down, and people in Sweden are giving up milk in record numbers, which is good for the planet and the health of the people who live here. And that's pretty important, don't you think?
So now we've been talking a bit about the general values and the way we try to approach our work and the way we work together every day. And we're going to get a little bit more concrete, because embracing your responsibility, feeling trust, and taking courageous decisions doesn't, of course, just happen by themselves. You need to work every day to be able to do that and really think about it. But we do actually have 2 slightly more concrete tools that we try to incorporate into our everyday work that we're going to share with you that helps us embrace these values and embrace the humanity in our organization. So we're going to wrap up this talk by talking about them.
You can click. Well, first of all, pretty much the rule that we live and die by. The only boss is the task itself. Well, as you can see, it's not really a tool, it's just a sentence and a way of seeing things. But what we mean by that is that you kind of never lose focus on what the actual task is and how to best solve it. There is no boss at the agency that you have to please with please or impress with your ideas or arguments. There will be no other person in the agency that kind of interprets what the client wants or what they need, so to speak. It's all up to you and your team to solve the problem and present it to the client and talk to the client. This, of course, goes kind of to all the stages of doing work as well. It's not just the creative part or not just the strategic part. All of the work is going through this process. And in the end, it's the small team's kind of responsibility, and they have 100% responsibility for that client. And then we have something that we call the floor. That is the model that we kind of use to discuss with the other teams. Everyone is expected to show their work to other people at work. And no matter how kind of busy you are or how much you have on your table, you kind of need to address and talk to these people and help them out. The way we do it is, it's not so hard, to be honest. It's just everyday very casual stroll through the office and trying to find the people that you think will be relevant and bring the best feedback to that actual work. Back in the day, it was when we did a lot more print and outdoor ads, we just put them out on the floor, hence the very creative name. And when people walked by, you just grab them and started talking about your work. And from that discussion, you kind of got the feedback that you needed. And we do this in every phase of the work. We do this when we talk strategic routes. We do this when we talk concepts and ideas. We read scripts to each other. We listen to music and films. We try different offline edits on people at work. Along the way, as I said before, the team is still ultimately responsible for making the decisions, but you bloody well better get the feedback from your colleagues. So, in conclusion, the floor brings together the collective creative wisdom in the agency and makes it as accessible to everyone at all times. Like we said so many times, more brains are better than just a few.
So these are our 2 slightly more concrete approaches to our everyday work that we try to do every day and apply to every part of every project and every task. So in the end, this is us and our blob and the way we organize ourselves. We believe it's unique and slightly chaotic. And working in this way challenges us every day. But now that we are working like this, we don't really see any way that could be better than working like this. And we need to be like this to be able to embrace the cultural values that we have, which is courage, responsibility, and trust. Because when we think that when we work like this, in this truly equal and collective way, we are actually able to embrace everything that makes us human. And put out work that is truly human. And the only way of working to be able to do that is together, we think.